It's 3 o'clock Pacific time, and we all know what that means. 3 o'clock Pacific time every Friday, we have Career Happy Hour. So, welcome, whether you're joining by YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn. We offer you an opportunity here today on Career Happy Hour to actually ask your questions. I'm Andrew Beach. I am a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate value to find great opportunities faster, whether you're working or not. That's through a pragmatic process of branding, planning, and effective networking. That's what I do as a coach and trainer. And if that's something you're interested in, you certainly could complete the application that you see below this video for those services, but that's not why I'm here today. I am here today because this is an opportunity for us to create a community, and this community is here to support each other. If that's you, go ahead and put your LinkedIn profile in the chat. That's something that we encourage people to do. And by doing so, what that means is any other participant that comes here from Career Happy Hour is going to reach out to you and say, I saw you on the Career Happy Hour session and you put your LinkedIn profile in there. I'd like to reach out to you and have some networking time. It's amazing how many people you reach out to that don't ever respond to you on LinkedIn, thinking you're trying to sell them something, or perhaps trying to convince them to do something that is nefarious or in some way a veiled ask. And I want to get around that with this particular community, is that I want everybody who reaches out to say yes, but I also want the people to reach out not to have a veiled response, that we come with open hands. And we're always seeking to learn, understand, and offer contribution to others rather than seeing what we can garner for ourselves. So that's my hope here today, is that we remove some friction, some barriers that we may have to the networking, so that we can actually participate in that activity. It's hard enough today, I think, to meet people and have conversation and be engaged and enjoy it all at the same time. So that's, anyway, I just look at it from that perspective. So if that's you, go ahead and put that in the chat. If you have any questions regarding career, leadership, anything of that nature, I am more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And please put those in the comments. What kind of questions would you want to ask? Well, anything really, anything related to career, interviewing, professional networking, leadership, personal branding, negotiating, offers, whatever that looks like. Could be career related, could be talent related, could be really anything. I talk on a number of different topics because I've had, a number of different experiences, and I think I have some perspective to share that might be unique and helpful to you. Looks like we have Terry Smith in the house. Good to see you, Terry. Some of what I have on my mind today, Terry, might actually be something that you could join if you want to, and add your spice to the conversation. If that's something you're interested in, you don't have to come on. But the topic for today, or the topic that I guess I chose for the session, is what are you hiding from? What are you hiding from? And I say that in a number of different contexts. The first of which related to a conversation I had with a coaching client this week that was hiding from their genius. And I say that in a positive way because I think each one of us, as Gay Hendricks wrote a book called The Big Leap. And there is excellence, the zone of excellence, and then there's the zone of genius. And the question I would ask anybody that's at this session is why on earth are you hiding from your genius? And it's something that I saw in a number of coaching clients this week that you can see on the surface, they're exceptionally good at something, and yet they pursue things or stay in things that just aren't a fit for them. And they end up being dissatisfied. They end up looking for opportunities elsewhere. They feel like they're ineffective, right? There's a lot of negatives that come with not living in your zone of genius. And the world, I told this person, the world deserves to hear, see, and experience your genius. And you holding it back from them is doing them and you a disservice. And all of us, I believe, know that we have this in us, but we're unwilling to first recognize it when we see it and to say it's okay. It's okay to have these feelings. And sometimes, I look at it, a lot of people talk about the 1%. And I'm not talking about the economic side of it, but I believe in any profession, there is the top 1% that's exceptionally good at something. And that's the 1% I'm talking about. And as you look at all of the things that you're exceptionally suited to do, not all of those things would fall in the top 1%. You may be, I look at some of the skills that I have in, say, things like, I don't know, accounting, finance, those sorts of things. I have skills in that, but I wouldn't consider myself top 1% in accounting or finance or analysis, financial analysis. That would not be my strong suit. And so I have to look at all the things that I do or know how to do and decide for myself, which of those things do I believe I could be 1% in, top 1%. Now, that's not to brag or to be arrogant. It's to realize that each one of us has a skill like that, and to identify what that is and really focus on optimizing, developing in some way, taking that to the next level to not only keep and maintain and develop our 1%, but to also feel good about doing it, that we're making a commitment to ourselves and to those around us. So those are some of the questions I have on my mind, or the thoughts I have on my mind. But certainly you're welcome to share this session out with your networks. You can do that through private message, or regardless of the platform you're on or what platforms you participate in, you can click the share button wherever you're joining today and share it out to your main social network. That could be LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook. It doesn't matter to me, as long as you share it with someone else. And that doesn't have to be public. That can be in a private message or an email. So please, we need to spread the word about this community, because I think it's important that we get a broader audience for this concept of networking and also being available and supporting each other. That's something that I think LinkedIn wants to have happen, but hasn't yet realized that they've really made their platform into something transactional. And not that that's bad or wrong. It's just I don't believe it's something they perceive that would happen. Is that it's become a place to transact. And I think that spending time on this platform isn't bad or wrong or what have you, but taking that offline, I mean, making that jump from online, something like LinkedIn, to offline, it is a leap. And that's why this, in my opinion, why this particular community exists, so that we can actually do what LinkedIn is designed to do, and that is to have a dialogue with a real human that's got a pulse. You can see the whites, or in my case, the reds, the redness in their eyes, and you can smell their breath and and the perfume they're wearing. And I'm being a little facetious and funny and poking around this topic, but really, I think we're missing the fact, and I'm missing the fact, that being around people is actually healthy for us. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, I want to work from home forever." I don't. I appreciate having a flexible work arrangement, but I like being around people. I miss it. It's funny when my wife and I take the dog for a walk. We do about 20 miles a walk in a week, but whenever I see somebody on the trail, whether they're walking the dog or doing whatever, or even if they have headphones in, I say hi. It's just one of those things that I don't know that I want to be seen. I just want to be heard, if that makes sense. I just want to be knowing that there's other human beings in the world. Anyhow, maybe that's just a human side of me. I don't know what it is, but I do enjoy being around people. I have to admit that. Now, the other side of this is, if you do have a question and you don't want it publicly advertised that you have this question, or you want to get my perspective on something, you can certainly come into the link in the description. It's a link that will allow you to come on live if you want to. There's a private chat back here. You don't have to put your name in there. You could put anonymous and you can put in a question, and I'd be happy to answer that live so that you can still feel a layer of privacy. I understand why you'd want to do that. So come into the back room, use the link in the description that you see there. I wonder what that looks like. Now that LinkedIn has their own link shortening thing, and I think it's somewhat challenging to see, but it should be in there. Yeah, join the stream for live video coaching. It's the first link in the description below where it says, what are you hiding from? So you should see that. Join the stream live for free video coaching, and I'll put that link in the chat on LinkedIn for anybody that would like to come into the back end, and you can join there. That's fine. Also put it here on, let's see, on Restream. Good. Let's see. Finally, Courtney, volunteering within your community, joining professional associations or your local chamber of commerce are fantastic ways to meet new people and expand your network. I agree. And so, not that LinkedIn is the end all be all. I think the nice thing about LinkedIn is you can see the people, where they work, and what you have in common. I think that's hugely valuable. And that makes identifying, to a certain extent, who the right people are very easy. It's very easy. If I go to my community, like to volunteer, let's say at the food bank, I don't know who's going to be there. I don't know what their skills are. I don't know where they work. I take a chance. Not that it isn't right or wrong. I think we need to do both. But the idea is I'm at the whim or in the realm of chance, because I don't know who's going to be there. Professional associations, yes, you would have somebody or some commonality of interest, but you don't know who's going to show up to the association meetings. So I was a member for a short time of the PMI, right? Project Management Institute. And, when you show up to the meetings, you just don't know who's going to be there. They have several hundred members, but, at any one time, there's only probably 10 or 15% of the members show up to the meetings. So that was a constant challenge for me, that you didn't know if they were the right people and you wouldn't know if they would show up. Same with Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce, certainly everybody you meet is a conduit to 250 people you don't know. And anybody you reach out to is valuable in that capacity. And so I don't diminish that. The premise of LinkedIn is that people should be connecting offline and having that networking conversation and building relationship so that they can actually advocate or endorse or in some capacity recommend somebody else's product or service or expertise or what have you. That's the whole reason. That's the whole reason that we're on this platform in the first place. And so I want LinkedIn to realize its ambition. And that's why we even do this community. I do it to give back as community service. So you mentioned community service. That's what I'm doing. This is my community service. And this is me giving back to people on LinkedIn that have helped me. This is my way to interact and add value. It's a way for me to perhaps support you in some small capacity by giving you perspective and support. Yeah, so I mean, if you want to jump on, Terry, you're welcome to come in here. That's fine. There was just a couple of other things I wanted to mention, and then I'll get into the topic on what are you hiding from, as it relates to another topic, which is people that, so I can hide from something that's unique to me, but I can also hide from other people. And I'm finding that currently, let me just give you a thumbnail sketch if I could. I currently have 18 pending connection invites on LinkedIn that I've chosen not to accept. And I'm kind of wrestling with this concept of to accept or not accept based on the way that person is reaching out to me. Now, some people I reply back to because interestingly enough, the most recent invite that I got did have a personal message on it, and I will read it to you. It says verbatim, Hello, Andrew. I just washed my hands and would love to connect with you. I am not joking. Talk soon. Happy face emoji. And then this person's name. So I won't tell you the person's name, but it looks to me to be not a real profile. And so to me, I wouldn't accept that request, but it started to get me thinking, am I showing up to other people when I reach out to them in the same way where they have resistance or they have concern about my intention in wanting to connect with them? And it's valid. It's a valid concern. And I need to do my best to let them know what is the reason I really, really want to connect with them. And sometimes I come with a common ask, and that common ask is, I'm looking to build real relationships here on LinkedIn. And so if you're interested in building real relationships, say yes. And some people say yes, and they don't want to, they just want to be connected. They're not interested in connecting. So being connected and connecting are two different things. And we've talked about this a lot on Career Happy Hour. But the other side of this is, one of the reasons LinkedIn is successful and it exists in the first place is because it's a place to transact and connect job seekers with companies through the recruitment function, talent acquisition. And that's why I was maybe interested in having Terry come on and give his perspective, is that I did a little experiment this week. And, I run the risk of people that I did this experiment with would actually hear what I'm saying. And, anyway, I won't go into it, but the experiment was, there was a company I had interest in learning more about, and I decided to just approach the recruitment function. And in this case, I reached out to, I think about 70, let me see here. Let me get my data because I did keep stats. 77. Okay. I reached out to 77 recruiters at one company. 77. And this was 2 days ago. So in the last 2 days, I reached out to 77 recruiters. It's been a while. How do I jump on the live stream? Well, there's a link in the chat that I just put in there, Terry. If you want to click on that, that'll bring you in the back end. Hopefully it works. I'll get another one in case that's wrong. And let me come back here. I'm sure I'll see you when I come in there, but I can have up to 10 participants. So if anybody else wants to join, we can get a little party going here. So the link there is in the description. Can't find the share function on mobile. I'm not sure there is one. So Terry, why don't you come in? And I'd just like to get your perspective on this. Not that these, so the other thing I need to admit is, as I was looking through some of these profiles, many of these recruiters, not all, but many, were probably in their recruitment function role at this particular organization a year or less. So that does say something. I'm in the waiting room. That's interesting. Oh, there he is. Let me get my headphones on. I don't know which ones to use. Sometimes I use these ones. Sometimes I use those ones. Sorry. Didn't intend for you to see my reach. I had to get the right headphones here. I like to use the clear ones when we get to talking online here. I haven't used these in a while. Let's see. Get these headphones on, and then we'll get back to the stream. Thank you for your absolute patience. There we go. I like those, don't you? They kind of hide, disappear. Terry, I don't see your video though. Is your video here? I will get the right one here. I'm going to do that one. Is he there? Terry?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. I can't see you though. I think there may be a video camera icon in your address bar where you have to authorize Restream to turn on your camera. And hopefully I might have to close some windows here because I'm getting some buffering. So let me
Yeah,
go
I'm
back.
trying to.
Well, let's just do our best. Maybe we'll just do the audio.
I'll tinker with it on my end and see if there's something I can come up with here.
Okay, good. So here's what I experienced recently. I reached out to these 77 recruiters at a single company. And I often wonder too if they compare notes or say, hey, did this crazy guy reach out to you? And so I sent them all the same connection request, and I sent them all the no vid feed, maybe a different browser. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can see you now, Terry. It's good to see your friend.
I can see you too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here we are.
So 77 recruiters reached out to at a single company. 20 of them said yes to a connection request. So that's, I think I calculated this 26%, roughly speaking. 26% said yes just to a connect request. 2 of them responded. How do you think they responded when I asked for a Zoom meeting to talk about best practices? In fact, I could read you the exact follow-up message, and you tell me how this would land with you, and maybe we could find a better way. Does that sound fair?
By all means, let's have it.
Okay.
This seems interesting.
Yeah. So try again. So here I'll give you the initial outreach too.
Okay.
Okay. So hi blank. As an awesome recruiter, it's important to find great candidates. I am constantly running across high quality candidates that might be of interest to you, as I do, much like you, Terry Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to connect on LinkedIn so I can contribute quality talent to your pipeline. Best regards, Andrew.
Okay.
First impressions on that initial outreach.
Feels like you're selling me something.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you change?
I would say something like, in the course of my work as a professional career coach, I often meet people who are very talented and very experienced, and often in your industry. I am something to the effect of, would love to refer those people to you, not looking for a fee, just want to help.
There it is. Not looking for a fee.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to help.
Just trying to help. Okay, got it. To help. Excellent. Okay, so here is my follow-up message.
Okay.
Thanks for connecting with me, blank, the name. I really appreciate it. I'm here to support your success on LinkedIn in every way possible. Would you be open to an offline Zoom meeting or a phone call to achieve that end? ? I will send an email with some days and times, and I'm happy to schedule a Zoom if needed. Andrew. Just seems it's a very generic follow-up message. And so the 2 responses I got, tell me what they were. I bet you could tell me.
Yeah, probably something like, if you're looking to place candidates with us, you'll need to sign an agreement, or we're not interested in hiring, new resources at this time, or, our inboxes are already full of resumes. Thanks anyway. Something like that.
Yeah. One was no thanks.
That was it?
That was it. No thanks.
What was the other one?
Literally. The other one was actually, I think, so just as I was using the same outreach and the same follow-up message for every recruiter, which probably isn't wise for me to do. I realize that it probably isn't what you would expect LinkedIn best practice to be. I realize that. So let me go to the archived messages because I'll have to look for it there. Okay, so this was actually well written. It said, Andrew, I appreciate the time you creating this bridge with our professional paths. Your work seems to be great and your career is very impressive. Sounds like a boilerplate message to me.
Kind of, yeah.
My 22 is going phenomenal, and I'm sure we will continue to prosper here at our company. However, I kindly decline your services.
Right.
I'm sure staying connected in our paths will continue, and I'm excited to see your professional content grow. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Regards, so and so.
So that person probably got the same basic rhythm that I got, which was, it sounds to me like this guy is some kind of recruiter. He wants to, set up a relationship so he can get paid to refer candidates to us.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, so really with recruiters particularly, they get that kind of outreach from, corporate internal recruiters get that kind of outreach from external recruiters a lot. And that's to some extent exacerbated by the fact that there are a lot of people, even today, there are a lot of people that are doing external, recruiting either independently or through an agency or what have you. They just aren't very experienced at it. They're just not, and so they reach out in ways that corporate recruiters can kind of spot right away. It's like, oh, okay, this person's like, in fact, when I was in the agency business back in the day, the first thing that once you got through whatever training you got through, the first thing that they would do is they would hand you like all of the, job recs that nobody had talked to anybody at the company for like the last year. And they said, go call all these people. This is back in the phone call days. Go call all these people and see what you get. Because at least it was a contact, even though that contact may have moved on since then. But so that's, and so you got kind of used to that. You got kind of used to these outreaches, right? And, not to say that, yours was very professional and so forth and very well written, but it had kind of a feel of, gee, this guy's kind of looking for us to, he's kind of trolling for business.
Right.
So the approach, in my mind is, you got to put them at ease, hey, look, first things first, not looking for money here. I'm just trying to help. This is what I do. I'm a network person. I connect people to opportunities. I help people move from one opportunity to the next. I do it because partly it's my role in life at this particular juncture in my career, but partly because it's just who I am and what I do. And so not looking for you to spend money, just would like to be able to, from time to time, as I meet people, and obviously this is a really long message, but as I meet people that seem like they might fit your organization, I'd like to be able to send them to somebody who'd be willing to listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. So Terry, what's new in your world? What are you hiding? What are you hiding from?
I'm hiding from the vampires and the no.
Garlic will take care of that, I understand.
Yeah. Yes. No, I think, probably the biggest thing I'm hiding from right now more than anything else is kind of the corporate gig, I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day. I said, I've been a salary man, for 35 years. And in the last year or so, I've made a conscious shift into more of a consulting kind of space. And I've been fortunate to be able to engage with a small company here in the Portland area that is a consulting company that has found ways to make use of my skills and abilities. And at the same time, I have my own organization that I've started as of this month, a year ago. So 1 year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And I've got 3 or 4 clients that I work with periodically. And in fact, 2 that I work with regularly through that vehicle as well. So, I'm kind of hiding from the corporate thing. I was thinking about the premise that there's been a lot of job postings recently in the realm of what I do, and I've kind of ignored them, and they're kind of in the right space, the right level of experience, background, seniority in the org, and that sort of thing. And I've just really been hiding from the notion of having to go through that exercise again. I'm well over 150. I stopped counting at 150. Thanks but no thanks. Combinations of emails, post-interview conversations, getting to the final round, and that sort of thing. And I guess part of it is just that I'm tired of the part that says, okay, I've got to I've got to somehow come up with a reason why for this particular company, gee, I've been following them ever since they started and I love them dearly and I can't wait to be a part of their organization and all that stuff. It started to feel real not even transparent, it just started to feel kind of disingenuous. And so I really have come to this point where, I kind of prefer sort of not doing that, and not getting myself wound into the, community of one company. So I'm hiding from corporate culture.
I see.
That makes sense?
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, I can see how that would, I talk a lot about this or have talked a lot about this in my podcast. The concept of job search fatigue is that, it takes a lot of mental and emotional horsepower.
It does.
And we've talked a lot about resilience in the last couple of years, I think, and we're just somewhat overused.
Yeah.
But I think everybody can get fatigued on something.
Yeah.
And it's, 35 years is a long stretch to be in that capacity. And perhaps what your growth potential is much faster in a consulting opportunity. There may be somebody who has the exact opposite, right?
Yeah.
They've been 15, 20, 35 years in solopreneur, entrepreneurial consulting work, and they would appreciate the challenge of having that kind of experience.
And so maybe they're kind of trying to hide from what they've been doing for 35 years.
Yeah. Or they're just, I think part of this concept that I was trying to share is sometimes we just don't give ourselves credit for being 1%. And so in your case, at least how I see it, is you're getting paid to share your wisdom of experience of the 35 years. And the reason you can do that and have the choice to do that is because you did the 35 years. And so it's not that you're avoiding corporate, is that you're reshaping what corporate means to you.
I think that's and thank you for that. It's a very positive perspective on it. I think, I think you're right. It's me just, reevaluating, using the opportunity that's been presented to all of us basically to reassess and say, gee, what is, does it make sense for me to, go back into that one more time?
Well, it's not a bad way to prospect for new business, because if you think about it, if they can't hire somebody, what's their alternative?
Right.
Terry Smith LLC or whatever, whatever your organization is. Right. So maybe that is an option for you to go back and at least do some prospecting that way and land a couple more clients,
Well, there's that too. You're right about that. It's a very interesting thought. And what I'm actually finding is exactly what you've said is that, in a consulting kind of perspective, it seems to be more, well received. Oh, this guy's, gray of hair and long of tooth, right? And he's been around the block a few times, and we can learn something from that, And what I often find is, or what I am finding, I shouldn't say often find because I don't have enough data yet, but what I am finding so far is that people are more willing, more open to the idea, that here's somebody that clearly has done a lot of this stuff. And maybe we don't necessarily hire him, but we can certainly use at least a portion of his bandwidth to solve some of our problems. And in this era of, accelerating gig work, maybe that's the right, maybe for me, maybe that's the right model. It certainly seems to be the right model for the orgs that I'm working with. Right.
Well, it's on demand, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They don't know what they don't know. And they may end up, we talked about this too, is that, hey, we have an idea of what we want to hire for, but we're really looking for outcome positive. And how do we know if what we're hiring for is actually outcome positive? Right.
Right.
But if Terry can come in and demonstrate outcome positive, and that's exactly what we need, why would we not hire him as a consultant to do that work? On that incremental basis. Exactly. And you can still hire a person, and then you could, transfer all that knowledge over to them. Mm-hmm. I think that works out. We got some questions, so I'm glad you came on, Terry. So I don't know if you can see the chat inside here. I don't know what it's like
can.
being a participant, but
Yeah, I can see the chat.
let me see. For some reason, I'm getting a lot of buffering. So this isn't, I don't know, is that showing on the screen? There it goes. As a previous HR business partner, I can tell you that the sheer volume of open positions that talent acquisition professionals manage is a barrier to thoughtful responses to unsolicited messages. In my experience, that catches their eye is the message. Hang on. It only shows me so much of that. And so I gotta,
what catches their eye is a message with resumes of candidates that might be a fit for their role.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, I could see that that's true. I also would challenge the thought for many organizations that this is just a transactional platform. And, if a TA function is not giving their people bandwidth to actually, I'm not expecting them to respond to everybody, but, do for one what you could maybe do for many. And that is maybe you do have a couple of thoughtful responses occasionally.
Well, and I'll expand on that a little bit because this is actually a bit of a hot button for me recently.
I knew it would get you.
Yeah. So Courtney, thank you for that thought. Here's the challenge, in my humble opinion. I think the talent acquisition departments are given short shrift generally anyway. And Courtney, I have led talent acquisition teams over the years, and so have experienced some of this. That they tend to get short shrift. That there is a very transactional mentality in a lot of organizations in sort of the corporate business part of it, if you will, because often, my opinion, oftentimes people are seen more as commodities at best, and overhead at worst, right? Which is why when you look at a corporate ledger sheet, guess what? Headcount is on the liability side of the ledger. It's not on the asset side. It's on the liability, because it's by and large viewed, and this is supported through GAAP. And I think we had a conversation back and forth about this on LinkedIn, Andrew. From a GAAP point of view, that's right, because GAAP looks at certain things in certain ways, and headcount is overhead, right? And so it's a liability. And so
a financial liability.
Right. It's a financial liability. So guess what? When your company hits rough times, you look at your financial liabilities and you say, okay, what can I get rid of? Well, guess what? That's what layoffs are for. And the sad part of that is that, holistically, if you think about the organization as an entire entity, right, you don't have much if you don't have your people. You really don't. The people run the machines. The people write the code. The people do the balance sheets. And despite 21st century technology's best efforts to streamline all that, so to speak, the fact is you have to have people in your organization. And the hard thing that most orgs don't get is that people are creative and are a lot of the reason why those corporations even exist. Their intellectual capability, their creativity is an asset, not a liability.
Well, so could you, an organization could legitimately put payroll as the liability and people as the asset, right?
Right.
Or tribal knowledge, or, how you could list that on there in some capacity.
You could, whether you call it, tribal knowledge or talent or, whatever you choose to call it, you have to be able to realign the way the organization thinks about that. And the challenge that a lot of organizations are seeing right now is that people are leaving. They're fed up with it for whatever set of reasons. They're leaving the organization. They're not coming back into the workforce at the same speed and velocity that they were, a couple of years ago. And what you have is, a mindset that says, well, let's just get more people in. People leave, get them in. Yep, we're losing money, get them out, right? And the opportunity to look at it as an entire entity rather than as a set of components is what a lot of organizations, I think, miss. And that's to their detriment. And so how that comes back to talent acquisition is that talent acquisition is typically underserviced, understaffed, under-resourced. And the fact is that a lot of the resources that we have in talent acquisition, the ATS platforms and so on, a lot of them are out of date already. The world's moving so fast that a lot of the ATSs that are out there simply haven't kept up. Chances are because the companies the companies that serve them up are trying desperately to keep up, and they've got people, channeling through them, working there, then leaving, working there, then leaving, and so on. And so they're having their own struggles trying to keep up. Plus, you've got a marketplace that's drawing from them things that they've never even considered before, and they're dealing with all of the social issues associated with hiring around social biases and discrimination, everything else that has become forefront stuff that they never dealt with before. So now they're in this whole cycle of, oh God, we've got to figure out, we've got backbone code that is inherently biased because the people that wrote it were all one kind of person, and so now we got to back out of that and figure out how are we going to redesign these things to be able to deliver a set of processes that aren't inherently biased.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's a huge topic in the ATS world these days. So guess what? They're working on that. A lot of them are not putting out new platforms or new versions of their platform because they're still trying to figure all that stuff out, among other things. And so the talent acquisition people are working with technology that may not necessarily reflect their actual needs of today. And at the same time, they've got ownership that's saying, a recruiter can handle 30, 40, 50 recs because come on, it's just transactions,
right.
Missing the whole point that you've been making about the relationship. Sorry, I will get off my soapbox now.
No, it's fine. Just as anything else, I mean, we were talking about what are you hiding from, and sometimes it's the 1% rule, right?
Yeah.
This concept is that we all have a zone of genius, and not every recruiter I run across is going to be part of the 1%. It doesn't mean they can't be. It means they aren't currently. And I did have a really enjoyable experience this morning talking to a recruiter from an organization that, even though I went through a process with their organization and they went with another internal candidate, which is normal. It was a situation where she felt it was appropriate to close that loop for whatever reason. And it didn't matter to me what that reason was. It mattered to me that she took the time to actually talk to me.
Yep.
And that, so what did that do? That certainly put me in a higher regard for her in her profession. It solidified their brand, right? Even though I've never bought product or service from that company, I can assure you that I would recommend that company to anybody who would want to work there. Right. Because of that one interaction. And so I put that person in the 1% just by doing that. And the thing that we can all do is acknowledge excellence when we see it. And if that person, and I told her as much, you know what, I have to tell you something, right? Yeah. I think that you reaching out to me says a lot about you and your capacity to be high touch with your candidates. And I think that says a lot about your organization. And I don't think you should stop doing that.
Awesome.
Ever.
Yeah.
So
right on. There's another comment from I'm not sure if it's pronounced Iden or Idan or but anyway, I don't want to. I want to be sure to capture the comments that we've seen.
Okay.
But he says, I've been hearing so much bad rep about corporate culture. It's almost achieved a meme status already, but never had the chance to experience it firsthand. Academia, startups, so never been part of one corporation, I'm assuming. is it that bad? And are there any positive examples too? So may I?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's that bad. I mean, sometimes we can be a little
Yeah.
pessimistic.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there are plenty of examples of very good corporate cultures. There are plenty of examples of organizations that are very intentional about their corporate culture, and that's really kind of, at least in my opinion, that's a really fundamental to how corporate culture happens, right?
Mm.
You're right. It is almost like a meme, but companies that really pay attention to it and really put effort into what they want their corporate culture to be are generally successful at doing that. And it's generally a better culture than if they simply just sort of let it happen. Because if they let it happen, I've said before, culture can happen to you, unless you're intentional about making sure you create the culture you want, right?
And the same applies, I think, even as a candidate from the outside.
Yeah.
You need to understand what types of things do you appreciate in the people you'll work with? What are the types of things you appreciate in the organizations you've worked for or that you would like to work for, right? And if you've only worked in startups or academia, you still were interacting with people. And there's a reason you were maybe in academia. Maybe you like the research or the whatever. I mean, there's things to pay attention to and put on a list, right?
Yeah.
And this list would have all the things that you would expect an organization to provide you, some negotiable, some not. And I think we've certainly talked about negotiables and non-negotiables here on Career Happy Hour. So you could go back and talk, look at some of our archives. But
yes. Well, and not to belabor the point, but it's worth pointing out too that academia has culture as well.
Yeah.
And academia takes some amount of what's the word I'm looking for, kind of stereotypical representations out there. I mean, the academic culture of research oriented organizations, for instance, research colleges, right?
Right.
There's sort of some assumptions, some stereotypes about that culture. So, and again,
as there are with any organization. I
right.
mean, I look, not to throw Amazon under a bus, but people have at least a prevailing belief that Amazon is like the Hunger Games, and it's possible that there are parts of that company that are.
Right.
But we can't paint with broad strokes because it's such a large company.
Yeah.
You need to do your own investigation and meet the people there to discern whether or not what you're hearing is actually true, because it may not be. And whenever you change people, you change culture.
Right.
That's what they just had happen. They have a new CEO. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen with a new CEO? It's likely the objectives, the strategy, the culture will change.
Yes.
There's no reason. There's no way it can't.
Exactly.
As much as Amazon likes to say that they're all about their leadership principles, and certainly that is a guide bar, right? A bar to set, but it's not. I wouldn't be as dogmatic about it, right? that you have to meet all of their leadership principles, and it's a guide for their culture, and it pervades their hiring process. And any company that's looking to build culture is likely got culture baked into everything they do.
Exactly. They're very intentional about it. And it'll be interesting to see now that leadership change is settling in. It'll be interesting to see what actually happens to that.
Indeed. So I'd like to offer you something, Terry.
Sure.
I think you remember about 2 years ago, we did a little session on COVID, the pandemic, blah, 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 the coronavirus, and how that was going to impact hiring. You remember we did that a while back?
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to maybe go back and look at that. And then you and I have a follow-up on that in today's world, because how you approach these things is going to be really critical to your success, I think, moving forward.
Yeah.
So
love to.
Yeah. All right, good. So I've got to bail out here. I've got a 4 o'clock, but I will see you next Friday, hopefully.
Yes,
and maybe
sir.
we could talk offline or share emails and make something happen. Sound fair?
Let's do that.
All right. Thanks, Terry. Have a good weekend.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this session of Career Happy Hour. You can always watch the archive versions of this by attending, going to the YouTube channel that I have, or just going back through the postings that I have here on LinkedIn. But I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Career Happy Hour.